Hi, and welcome back to our FlowJo YouTube series. So in today's session, we'll be looking at compensation. And in this case, I have a 13 color experiment in which we'll go through the compensation. Now, this series is meant to address the issues that you have in FlowJo. So if there's something that you would like to see, put a comment in the comment section below, and I will try and make a video to address your needs. So diving into this data, you can see in here we already have populated our FMOs and our various samples, as well as all of our compensation controls. Now, in the previous demos I've given, we haven't really looked at the box. So the box is where you can see your compensation. So if I double click on that box, it will open up the compensation matrix that I currently have applied to this experiment. And this was the one that came off of the instrument. So we can take off the uncompensated to look at what our compensation looks like. And you can see overall, it looks pretty good. Now, because I already have my gating hierarchy established, I would then switch this to our stain sample and preview it on our alive cells because it will give me a better idea of the population I'll be working with. And so the big things I'm looking for are that I more or less have right angles across all of my samples. So overall, it looks good, maybe a few weird things. But in case you don't like the matrix you have, or you didn't create one when you were going through, let's go through the process of how to create a compensation matrix. So if we go in here to compensation, you can see all of our comp samples are already in here. And this button now is alive. So if we click on this comp tool, we can go through and then create our new compensation controls. You can see in this case, we were using beads to compensate, so it's gated that. And then in here, simply we need to go ahead and gate our positive. So this will be our CD11B positive population and our CD11B negative population. Now, it might have some default gates already set up for you. If it does, you can simply double click on that plot and adjust them as you like. Now, one important thing to note about compensation is compensation does not care if your gating boundaries are accurate. It doesn't care if you capture all of the cells in that population because your gate is in exactly the right spot. Compensation cares about the fluorochrome, and in this case, capturing the brightest of that fluorochrome. So while I've drawn these like they would normally be drawn for a gating analysis, you can adjust them. So in this case, I would probably move this gate over. So I'm capturing just my brightest CD11B because that will give me the best compensation result. And you can see up here, these have now populated with my negative and positive gates. I now have a green light here. So I'm going to go through and do the same thing for all of my other samples now. View matrix lets you see your compensation matrix. It also lets you look at your spillover spread matrix. So this can be really important in your panel design because it will indicate channels in which you may have spreading issues that can inhibit your ability to resolve markers. So you can see here one combination that's flagged is spreading of V710 into the U740 channel. So this is my B220 marker, could have potentially the impact of the resolution affected by this B710 marker. However, B710 in my panel is CD8, and those two markers are never on the same cell type. So in this case, I should not have any issues with spreading with this with this panel. Now, like I've said before, avoid the pull to manually compensate. So in this matrix, I can go back, and in here, I can adjust any of these values that I want. So say I think that, I don't know, where's a good one to show? This B710 and B530. So if, say, I don't think this is the correct value, I can go in here and adjust this compensation myself. But you can see that just crazy overcompensated that and can lead to all other sorts of issues in your experiment that don't even happen in that channel. So really avoid that pull to do cowboy manual compensation on these panels. Go back, troubleshoot your controls, and use those to optimize then your compensation matrix. Now, to apply these matrices to your experiment, again, I don't want to use that one I just played around with. You can go into your samples, grab this little M, and you'll notice that this box has changed color. So whichever matrix is applied to your experiment, you'll know based on the color. So if I want to use my unedited matrix instead, I'll grab this little M, drag and drop it on my samples, and you'll see that comp matrix is now applied to my samples. So knowing that everything has now been gated properly, I can go through and do my analysis on my compensated sample. And there you have it, compensation in FlowJo. So like I mentioned at the start, any pressing issues you have in FlowJo, please put in the comments, and I will work on creating a video library for tackling FlowJo issues. So you don't miss out on anything, make sure you've subscribed to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.